Welcome to the Fabulous Fifties and Beyond. I'm Jim Pollard, co-host with my wife, Jeanetta. Today we're going to be talking about caring people services here in Western Kentucky. You stay tuned and we'll be right back.
And he'd say, go with what you got. Start from where you are. Give it your best shot. Keep reaching for that star. Get in the race, keep your own pace, keep moving and never stop. Just go, go with what you got.
I'm Jim Pollard. My wife Jeanetta is co-host with me, and today we're going to be talking about caring people services here in Western Kentucky. Caring people services is about 2 years old now?
5.5.
5.5. Boy, how time flies. I'm telling you, that's really moved on. Our guests are Carolyn Roberts and Joni Hogancamp. Now, Joni was with us, has been with us in the past. She wears many different hats.
Yes, I do.
Some of them are volunteer hats too, aren't they?
Most are,
Yeah.
but not this.
Yeah. And so tell us just what is Caring People Services.
Well, we provide services to, could be elderly or disabled people, or even just someone who might have had surgery that needs a little bit of help in the home. And our hopes is that they can stay in their home as long as they want, but just a little bit of help. We provide sitters, and we also do homemaking, and then we do bathing, dressing, personal care.
Do you do any like RN services, or is?
No, we are non-skilled. Our people are non-skilled, and we are non-medical, so we cannot do wounds or catheter care or things like that. So we partner with home health and hospice a lot.
Okay, and so that's actually the type of work that you. Now, is it for any age group?
Any age group, anybody that needs a little bit of help. We've even done some babysitting sometimes for people that are out of town, and are desperate for some help for their children.
You say you've been around 5.5 years?
5.5 years.
Yeah.
The first year was in the room behind my garage, and then after that we were down in Lower Town for 2 years, and then a year ago, January, we moved to Jefferson. We're on 1049 Jefferson, right next to Hope Unlimited.
Oh, you're right next to Hope Unlimited then. Okay, well, we know where they are.
Yeah, we were down there for their open house.
That's a beautiful place.
Yes, it is.
It was fun to watch them develop that. We moved in right when they were getting ready to move in, and so we had a good time watching our neighbors get ready to move in.
That, of course, that area then is changing greatly.
It is.
Yeah, and for the better. Yeah, the whole area is changing down there. The type of services that you do, can you be a little more specific? I mean, is all of it in home, or is some of it in your place?
Oh no, we don't have any services in ours, but we do residential services as well. We work in assisted living facilities, we work in hospitals, in long-term care facilities, nursing homes. Especially in assisted living facilities, sometimes people will move in and then continue to age in place, and they get past the point where assisted living facilities are really licensed and able to care for them. So we may go in and make up the difference, and so we're kind of partnering with the assisted living facilities. Our being there allows the client to stay and not have to move again for a while. Sometimes they do have to go on and move to a nursing home, but sometimes our being there lets them stay in their assisted living facility for a little while longer.
That's interesting. Go ahead.
And it does make them feel, more independent if they...
Absolutely.
And better if they... The nursing homes are the last step, that's...
And sometimes that's in a very appropriate setting for someone. But even in a nursing home, if someone is very restless or frightened, the family may want someone with them maybe during the night, maybe even just for the few nights when they're new to the nursing home till they get acclimated to that. Then they want just a little extra attention. And sometimes our families are already elderly and they're caring for an extremely elderly person. We may have somebody in their late 70s caring for their mother in their late 90s. And so they're really not able to spend the night every night and stay as a younger, child would be able to. So sometimes we can make up the difference for that.
So y'all do sit with them.
We
If
do.
somebody wants you to sit in the daytime or
We do,
nighttime.
in the facilities,
Right.
And in the homes too, we have sitters during the night. during the day usually that we have homemaking, because we are usually doing homemaking skills, cooking, cleaning. We can also take them to doctor's appointments if they have a vehicle, and or grocery shopping, things like that.
Everybody has a different need. That's one of the things that I think is the most rewarding thing, is that every client is unique. And some people, an hour or two a week is really all the help they need. Some people need more. Some people need help in the mornings. Some people in the evenings. Really depends on how we can help fill up the void of when the families can be there. And the services are kind of creative sometimes, what they need us to do. But, it's things that we would help our parents with if, we were, and that's really our bottom line, is providing care that is the same as we would provide for our own parents. And sometimes that's very unique things that they need done for us, but as long as it's not medical.
And that's how we look at our employees too when we are interviewing people, as to whether we want them for our organization. Is this somebody that I would trust with my family?
Your mother, right.
So it gives us a little bit different perspective when we're hiring people.
Well, those people need to be treated with dignity.
Oh,
Absolutely.
certainly.
Most of them have lived a long life. They have been of service to the community, to their families, and we need to treat them like that.
Well, it takes very special people. We don't hire
Yes.
just anybody. You have to have a compassion for the elderly and want to listen to their story and, help them.
And you may have to listen to it over and over and over.
Sometimes it's the same story over and over, and you're just as delighted to hear it the 30th time as you are the first or second.
But go ahead.
I said we do hear that back from our employees as well. One of the things that Joni and I talked about when we very first started the company was we wanted to make a difference. And many of our employees feel the very same way, and we hear that from them, that they take on, not everyone is sweet and easy to be around. There are some people who are a little more challenging, but our employees really know that they're making a difference by being there. And so it's very rewarding to hear your employees come back and tell you that oh no, I'll keep going, she really needs me. And so they do things that are not always easy to do because they feel like they're making a difference too.
And we all know, you hear it over and over, that people live longer if they're not in a nursing home. That they do better if they're in their own surroundings, whether it's their home or whether it's a assisted living facility that they've gotten used to. Because every time you change one of these older people, it's hard on them.
It's
hard
hard
to adjust.
to adjust to new surroundings and new people and expectations. So it is best to try to keep them in their home as long as possible.
It's an adjustment even if they move in with a family member. It's not their home. It may be their son or daughter, and they love them very much, but it's not their routine. And it is, even though it may be good stress, it's still stress. And so even having someone, sometimes families are a little bit, I think, disappointed that we can make them willing to do things that maybe they've been encouraging their mom and dad to do, but mom and dad didn't want to do it. And then our staff come in and they say, oh, okay, we'll go take a bath or whatever. But their children are their children. And even though their children may now be 60 years old, the parents still see them as their children and don't always want them to do intimate kind of care, bathing and dressing and things. It's embarrassing for them, where a caregiver is much less intimidating and they're more comfortable with that.
If somebody wanted to contract or have with you where they come the same time every week for several weeks, that's
We customize that to the family's needs. Some people we come as little as 2 hours a week or 2 hours a month, and then some people need us there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And when families contact us, we go out and do like a mini assessment and meet with the family and see what they are looking for. And they decide if they need us or not, and then we come back and look at our employees to see who have the skills that they're looking for and who are available. So then when we first start a case, Carolyn or myself or Vaughn we take our employee out and introduce them to the family so they'll know that they are from us, and then we tell them, what's expected.
Because I know that some people like, all right, you women need to go to the beauty shop same time every week.
Yes, yes.
Or you do, whether you need to or not, and that, or you go to the grocery store, or certain things. We have never been schedule structured. Some people, they go to wash on Monday, they go to do this on Tuesday, they go to do this on Wednesday, this on Thursday, and this on Friday. Regardless, that's and it's just the way they've done it. It's not that they're schedule structured, it's just that they've done it. So they can do that. They can line up with you, and they can say, we'll have somebody here at 3 o'clock on Thursday afternoon, so you can go to the beauty shop every week, or you can do your grocery shopping. I know my dad and I guess it was because of the way that my dad got paid, but every Friday night they went grocery shopping because Dad got paid on Friday. And back, it wasn't checking accounts back then. It was the account was in the pocket. And so Dad would get paid on Friday, and on Friday night or Saturday morning was grocery shopping day, and that's the way I was raised. But in this day and time, you don't. Like some people still do though, because I hate to go to Walmart on Friday afternoon.
And a lot of our clients are structured like that, and do have certain things they do on certain days. So one thing is we can take them to the beauty shop, or doctor's appointments, or need to go to the grocery store this day. So it's helpful for them just to have that little bit of help.
Very good. Well, we're going to take a break, and Jeanetta and our nutritionists are going to get together, and they're going to talk about healthy eating. And so they do that in our show, and then we'll be back. So you stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
We welcome Pam Ward back again today. Pam is a registered dietitian with Western Baptist Hospital, and she comes to give us some good information each week. And so, welcome back, Pam.
I'm glad to be here.
What are we going to be talking about today?
Well, today we're going to talk about nutrients your diet may be missing. Just to make people a little more conscious of choices they can make, because we tend to think about this many servings of this food group, this many servings of this food group, but we don't break it down. And there's actually 6 or 7 vitamins or minerals that many of us are low in.
Missing. All right. Yeah, well, I guess not totally missing.
Not totally missing, but we could
Too
do
low.
a lot better.
Too
Right.
low.
And we've talked before, calcium is a big one, because a lot of people as we get older, they don't drink milk. They drink it as a child, but then they don't drink it as an adult. And so they don't get calcium. And calcium, we know it's good for bones. What a lot of people don't realize, it affects your heart rhythm. If you don't have enough calcium, it affects your heart rhythm. Blood clotting. Calcium helps in blood clotting and muscle function. Just how our bodies move, calcium does all those things. So it's a lot more, I guess, important than we realize. It's not just the bone health. There's lots of things. If you're over 50, your goal is 1,200 milligrams a day. And honestly, 3 servings of dairy products a day will usually give you that. Yeah, they will usually give you that. It's not that hard. And something to keep in mind too is if you get your calcium from foods, from dairy products versus a supplement, milk calcium is better absorbed in because it is broken down with lactose, which is the milk sugar. So you really do get, I think, more of a benefit from getting it through your diet versus just taking a supplement.
I have never been one to drink milk.
See, I love milk.
Well, that's good. But if I put chocolate in it.
You sound like my little boy. He's always telling me, chuck it. But, and a lot of women don't. And if you're lactose intolerant or you just don't drink it, take a calcium supplement. Get it somehow, because it is so important.
And you can also make it with cheeses and
Right,
things like
dairy
that
any
too.
sort of dairy product,
Right.
is good. And if you look like orange juice, a lot of orange juice is calcium
Fortified.
fortified, so you can do those things too. It's a habit. It's just a habit people have to get into. And change just takes a little bit of time, but adding dairy products to your diet is definitely beneficial. And another thing we're really low in around here is fiber. We've talked many times, fiber, not only does it help prevent or decrease your risk for heart disease, cancer. It also does for diabetes, and it slows down the breakdown of these carbohydrates, so it doesn't affect your blood sugar nearly as much. So fiber is very important. We don't tend to get around here because we're junkers, you know, it's white bread or white buns, we're big meat eaters, but fiber is very important. And just to kind of give you an idea, men over 50 need 30 grams a day, and women over 50 need 21 grams a day. So because we're smaller, we don't have to eat as much, but fiber is just a real important part of a diet.
Well, they have such good breads out now.
They really
the
do.
multi-grain breads and all that I love.
And those are by far your best option. You really, if you can find a bread that has 3 grams of fiber per slice, you've got a good one. You've got a good one. So check the label, you know, see how much fiber you're getting.
Because you were telling us before, just because it's like kind of brown, it doesn't necessarily mean it's
right.
sweet.
It can basically be a food coloring. You know, people think wheat bread is healthier, and they see it, and it's like, oh, that's got to be healthier than the white bread, and they grab it, and it's just basically the white bread with a little bit of caramel coloring added.
So the test is if they have 3 grams of fiber in
Yeah,
a
that's
slice.
a good bread. That's a good bread. But, you know, I mean, if it's 2 instead of 3, it's still a pretty good choice. But that white bread, those cereals that have no fiber, not great choices. If you're going to eat cereal in the morning, if it can have at least 5 grams of fiber in a serving, you're on target.
Okay.
You're on target. Magnesium is something people may be low in, and it's certainly, we may think about calcium and fiber, but certainly we don't think about magnesium. And it's actually very important. It also is part of, you know, bone health. It very much affects your immune function, very much so. So getting enough magnesium will help keep you from getting sick. It helps with your nerves, and I don't mean it makes you less nervous, but how your nerves function, you know, it helps with that. Heart function, and a lot of these things go hand in hand. You know, calcium affected heart function. Magnesium's going to affect heart function. So a lot of these are together, but it's the same foods to eat to get those things, so it works out pretty well. We talked a week or so ago about vitamin E, and these folks that are on very, very low-fat diets may not get enough vitamin E. Vitamin E is the one supplement or one vitamin that it actually matters whether it's natural or synthetic. Natural vitamin E is absorbed much, much better than synthetic vitamin E. Now, so if you're going to take the synthetic, just realize you have to take more to get the same, you know, to get the same value from it. But all in all, a natural vitamin is no healthier than a synthetic or manufactured vitamin. Both of them provide what you need. Both of them are, you know, readily absorbable. So just like we talked about, you don't have to buy the expensive brand names for other reasons. Right. Don't worry if they're natural or synthetic. It just makes minimal difference.
This is a lot to remember.
I know. It is, I know.
But we do, when we go to the grocery store, we do need to check the labels.
We do. And, you know, a lot of people, and we don't need to focus on just one part of the label, just the fiber or just the sodium or just the fat. We've got to take it all into consideration.
Listen, thank you so much. I think our time is about up, so we will look forward to seeing you next week.
I'll be here.
Welcome back. Our guests today are Carolyn Roberts and Joni Hogancamp from Caring People Services. And this is a service that's about in all of Western Kentucky. Mm-hmm. I'm glad you put that on your email that you sent to me, because I was saying Paducah, McCracken County, and then your email said Western Kentucky.
All Western Kentucky.
So I did that. And how many counties are you covering? About 8? Is that what
8 or 9, and occasionally we have gone over, say, Livingston or Lyon County. Just depends on what the client needs and who we have available to
Well, do you
cover
go up
it.
in southern Illinois like Metropolis? Or
We
is that-
have in the past, but we're not going to do that anymore.
Not going to do that anymore. Yeah, I just wondered, because I look at this area as kind of a regional area in a lot of ways, and that's part of what I consider to be the region. That and parts of northern Tennessee. But in some marketing ploys, that is the region. And all.
We haven't gone to Tennessee, but we have gone as far as Murray. We have had clients
Actually,
in Murray.
Clinton, Bardwell.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's good that because you know, as I've said now, that people who watch our show, who have other people that might want to see it, they can see it on the internet. They can see it on. They can go to Paducah2.org, the number 2, and they can see it on the internet. And that's something we're constantly. We get asked this because, you know, this is our 4th year doing this show, and people say, "We're going to see the show. We're going to see the show." So now we tell them where they can see the show.
Well, it's hard to get your schedule right for when it's on, so that's a great asset.
Yeah, and so now they can just go in and pick it up and watch it or download it, either one. It's available, and so that is good. Let's get back to Jeanetta. You know more about. She had to help take care of her mother, and that's the reason I said she knows more about this than I do, and some of the aspects of the work that. But do y'all do house cleaning?
Sure, we do homemaking, cooking, cleaning. Another thing that a lot of our clients like is we will change the sheets. Sometimes bending over, it's hard if you're a little bit feeble or if you have trouble with grasping. So we will do the sheets and laundry, pets, just about anything you need. Not any spring cleaning or anything like that, but
We don't like to climb ladders or
I can
we
understand
don't do
that.
anything outside, but
Since
anything else, it's a daily, bathrooms, cleaning out the refrigerator, making sure that the food doesn't need to be thrown out because sometimes there is an altered sense of smell or taste or vision, and they don't always see that this leftover needs to go away now. And so that's something that we do too.
I could use one of them now.
Yeah, she came read. She came read the day before yesterday. Would you smell this and taste of this? And I said no.
I do not have a good sense of smell, so it's just.
so she wanted you to be the guinea pig.
Right. So she often brings me the milk to smell, you know. And the irony of milk is you can't always tell because around the rim it can smell bad, but the milk can still be good. But we don't throw stuff away at our house.
Oh,
What do you mean we don't throw?
Well, I mean, until it has to be, I guess is what I'm saying,
Well,
you know.
my son had a girlfriend he had more than one girlfriend, but this one came to our house one day, and I put up every little bit of food, and she says, "My mom does that." And then I said, "Well, we put it in the refrigerator and it turns green, and then we don't feel bad about throwing it away."
That's one way to get rid of it.
Well, you know how it is.
Well, and this age group that we deal with is very frugal, and
Yes.
they don't like to
Yes.
waste.
Yes.
And I think that's another thing that our company offers is that we let them be in control. I mean, we're there to help them and to assist them to facilitate having things the way they're used to having them. So when we come in, we may think that 2 tablespoons of mashed potatoes needs to go in the trash, but if they want it in the refrigerator, we put it in the refrigerator.
In other words,
Yeah.
if the date on the cereal box is almost outdated, you don't throw it out, you let them make that decision.
That's right.
We had some people visit us one time, spend a couple of days, and he literally looked at the dates on the
Oh,
cereal
my
boxes.
goodness.
Oh, yes.
Well, did you invite him back?
No.
I can't imagine going to somebody's
I
house.
can't
and looking
either.
at, But anyway,
Well,
we're all
and
different. And
We are, and it's hard having strangers in your home, and I think sometimes our clients feel that way too. Is that they have to get to know us, be comfortable with us, that we are going to do things the way they want because our systems may be very different from theirs.
I would assume that you try to send the same person back so
We
that they
do.
get that relationship built.
We usually start out with one, depending on the hours, and then we will pull a second person in so they will know the routine too in case someone's sick. Of course, it just depends on the number of hours that they're asking for. But back to something Carolyn said, most of our clients that the children have arranged for us to help them at first don't need any help.
Yeah.
And they
They
are
think they
all against it. But then after a couple of weeks, they're like, when are they coming? And then they can hardly do without them. But it is hard to accept somebody into your home when you have never had anybody.
well, and they don't necessarily trust people.
Right.
You know what I'm
right.
saying?
Well,
And,
it is hard.
And
Well, we have to earn their trust. We know they're not going to automatically trust us just because we say, we're trustworthy. We do background checks on all of our staff. We do Kentucky State Police background checks. We do drug screens. We do health screens. We take responsibility for all the withholdings. We do the workman's comp and the liability insurance and the bonding insurance. But that doesn't mean that even all that's in place, that they're going to be comfortable and and necessarily trust that person until they get to know them and know that we're really there to be the helper.
Not to rearrange their
Right,
lives or
right. We're not
redirect
trying
them
to
or,
take
you know,
control.
just to really help facilitate them
Yes.
staying home.
Well, I was just going to say it's good that you brought that up, that you do all of the security and background checks, because people need to know that that is part of what you do.
We do. You hear so many horror stories in the news.
Yes, you do.
It seems like they get all the publicity, and those things do happen. You know, unfortunately, they do. But the number of times is very minute, and certainly not for us. But unfortunately, they get most of the publicity.
Which is why we always go and introduce. We never just send somebody with an address and have them knock on the door and say that they're from us, because name badges are easy to copy and
Oh,
it's
yes,
easy to
absolutely.
say. So if we have a new staff member, they're going to see me or Joni or our office manager, Vaughn, or another employee that they know is going to be with that person to introduce them, so that they know that that person is actually supposed to be there.
And also another thing we do is for families that are out of town, once we have agreed with them that we will be providing services, we guarantee that somebody will be there. And so if someone calls off at the last minute, it may be Carolyn or myself or Yvonne that show up, just because we want the families to have that sense of security, to know that somebody will be coming no matter what.
Yeah, to know that they can depend upon you, because that is very important.
I think because Joni and I started the business because we were and are the hands-on caregivers for the families, we know how important it is when you're waiting on someone to show up,
Yes.
that person comes. And so I think that's probably, we have that kind of insight, and helps us be a little bit more intuitive for what the families need.
Believe it or not, we're about out of time. I think we need to give your address and your telephone number. I think he's got it on the board, and we'll put it up, and your website. So one of you give us that. Your name, your address, your telephone number, and your website.
Caring People Services, 1049 Jefferson, Paducah, 575-4529, and our web address is caringpeopleservices.com.
caringpeopleservices.com.
And we recommend anyone who is even remotely interested to go and look at your leisure at our website.
Okay. And usually if they call, they get one of you two too, won't they?
They could get us or Yvonne, our office
Yeah.
manager.
Okay, well, we appreciate y'all being with us today. I know we've been trying to get together and do this for a while. We run into each other to different conferences is where we run into each other. And you came highly recommended by Vicki. And,
Oh, well, thank you.
We just wanted you to know that, and we appreciate you being with us. We appreciate you being with us out there in the TV land also. We want to encourage you to come back and see all of our shows. Remind you also that we are now on the internet. It's Paducah2.org, and that is the numeral 2, Paducah2.org. You can see all of our shows there. We encourage you to go there. You can recommend us to your friends. You could even download the shows and watch them again and again. So we want to encourage you to do that. Jeanetta, give them our address.
P.O. Box 7, Bowes, Kentucky, 42027.
Remember now, use it or lose it.
Can't see as well as I used to. Can't run as far or as fast. Sometimes I think that the old me is becoming exactly that. But when I start thinking of all I don't have, that's when I tell poor me Beethoven was 50 and deaf as a